The New York Mets may have just suffered a catastrophic injury in the infield, plus one of their highly touted pitchers. Through live BP, we're going to break down all the latest news for you in regard to the New York Mets next on MetCast. What's going on, Met fans? Welcome back to another episode of MetCast. As always, I am Ray, and if you're enjoying this content, I just ask you to hit that like and subscribe button, turn that notification bell on so you never miss an upload or a live stream. And today was a very interesting day when it came to the New York Mets. Pretty much when you're going through spring training, there's two things that I always look out for. Number one, is there any young kids coming through the farm system that may be able to contribute this season that we could kind of keep an eye on? And number two, can you stay healthy? And the injury bug has already bitten the New York Mets and Nick Madrigal. He is the pretty much replacement for Jose Iglesias, who the New York Mets brought in on that short 1 year deal that had a a clause for him to be either in the minors or in the major leagues. The New York Mets kind of had that option. It looks like he may have dislocated his shoulder on a tough play from shortstop to first base. He landed a little bit awkward, and it looks like he's going to be getting an MRI within the next 24 hours, according to Carlos Mendoza. Now, he was pretty much one of those guys that was on the roster bubble, probably, in my opinion, was the more likely candidate to make the initial team, the initial roster, only because you have guys like Ronnie Mauricio, Luis Angel Acuna, the Brett Beatties, the Drew Gilberts, the Jet Williams, who's still coming back from injury, that would be competing with him for that final roster spot. They all have options. And with him going down, it kind of brings two things to the forefront, in my opinion. I saw that the New York Mets were giving Luis Angel Acuna reps at shortstop, which that is, of course, his natural position, but it also happens to be Jet Williams' natural position. Now, there hasn't been any news in regard to Jet Williams not trying to play center field, which they're going to be giving him reps throughout camp at. But the intent was to always keep Acuna on the infield. And if Madrigal is going to be going down and he's down for any significant period of time, there's probably a higher chance of Luis Angel Acuna making this opening day roster. And I think that's going to excite many fans. Not going to say he's going to put fannies in the seats, but he is a crazy tool to have. Obviously, the athletic ability jumps off the charts. Over 50 plus stolen bases in the minor leagues each of the last couple of seasons. A high whiff rate, but he could play a tremendous defense. Maybe be that MacGyver type, play a little bit of second. We heard from Carlos Mendoza earlier in this offseason, right as camp was starting, that they're going to be giving him reps over at third base. Now, one development that was really interesting was the matter of fact that yesterday, I believe it was, that I listened to this. Carlos Mendoza said that Brett Beatty, out of all players, is going to be getting reps over at shortstop. They like him a lot. And shout out to Brett Beatty. He's not letting the noise get to him. Today, he had a line drive double, turned on a ball, rounded first base, went to second, the whole 9 yards. And I get it's against subpar players, but you can only see what's out there. And that was a positive from Brett Beatty. He looks like he has a different confidence. He looks a little bigger to me, maybe shorten his swing a little bit. And that's another thing I wanted to get into. Guys, if you get a chance, take a look at Francisco Alvarez, his at bat today. He's a little more straight up. His swing path is a little more direct to contact instead of completely loading up and then going to the ball. It's almost as if he's trying to shorten it down, which might hurt his power numbers. But if he could hit between 245 and 255, you would take that in a heartbeat. 245, 255, tremendous defense and hitting 15 to 20 home runs. I'd be all over that out of that catcher's position from Alvarez. But there's also another option the New York Mets have. And this is something I've been calling on the Mets to do for a while. See if you could get Jose Iglesias back here. I know a lot of people are saying the OMG movement is gone, but here's my opinion. if I had an option, and maybe you guys disagree with me, let me know down in the comments. I would prefer Jose Iglesias up here over Acuna because Acuna didn't hit in the minors last year. And yes, he came up towards the end of the season. He was very good for us. He swung the bat very well over 800 OPS, but there's no guarantee you're going to be getting that. And I'd rather him be the depth piece that's going to come up if Iglesias doesn't reignite what he did last year, which odds are he's not going to. But he's going to put bat to ball. He could play short. He could play second. He could play third. He's experienced all over the infield in regard to that. And I think that's a path that the New York Mets may actually take. Now, we heard after the injury, Andy Martino reported over on SNY that the New York Mets are going to be filling that hole via in-house options. And what are they supposed to say? We're going to look outside of the organization to fill this hole that we just got from this injury. No team ever says that. They always say in-house options, which I expect them to take a look at. Maybe they feel comfortable Brett Beatty subbing in at shortstop out of all positions, which I find a little strange because he's not a great third baseman. I don't see him playing very much shortstop, but you have the McNeils. I mean, again, we're talking about a back end of the roster type move. Either Acuna or Beatty are probably going to get the shot. In my opinion, it's probably going to be Beatty only because he's 25 this year. He's a couple years older than Acuna. They can send Acuna down. He can continue to get full-time at bats where Brett Beatty could be a left-handed DH along with Jesse Winker, play a little third, play a little second, and God forbid, play a little shortstop depending on the injury. But those are the updates that we have for you today. I was listening to earlier to Jim Bowden talk about the New York Mets and their lineup, and he thinks it's a complete three-team race, three elite teams coming out of the National League that are going to be competing for the National League. And he was talking about how he understands the Dodgers are the proverbial favorite, but he was also alluding to any team can pretty much win this job. It's up in the air. That's baseball for you. So hopefully, that comes to fruition. And the last thing I wanted to get to, and I know a lot of Met fans are hitting me up in my DMs, whether it's on X or over on Facebook, talking about Brandon Sproat during live BP today. Now, you saw Alonso hit a missile off of him. Drew Gilbert, one thing that was good to see, he turned on a fastball and hit it out of the stadium. And a lot of people are saying, well, look, his fastball doesn't have crazy liveliness. What's going on? He is a minor leaguer. He's making his way through. Typically, earlier in spring training, the pitchers actually have the upper hand in regard to all this, but clearly, things are all over the place. So I'm not worried about Brandon Sproat in one bit. It's good to see Drew Gilbert hitting the ball because let's be honest, if Jose Siri does not work out in center field, which there is a chance if he's hitting 180 that he ends up becoming the fourth outfielder, Drew Gilbert will probably be the first option at age 24 to come up from the minor leagues and contribute to this team. So let's hope he has a strong spring considering he was full of injuries last year along with Jet Williams. We get some of these highly touted prospects back because if these guys perform in the minors, whether it's with us in the major leagues or they may be a trade chip at the deadline, that's something that we need to consider. But those are all the updates we have for you today. If you enjoyed this content, smash that like button, give us that subscribe, make sure you hit that notification button so you never miss an upload. We'll continue to bring all the Mets content to you. Until next time, let's go Mets.